Welcome back to the Student Hub Live STEM Showcase. In this session, we talk about students for students. And one of the most important things about being an Open University student is meeting other students and supporting each other throughout that learning journey. So I'm joined by three STEM students, Kath Brown, Claire Davey and Colin Pritchard. Thank you for joining us today. I wanted to find out about your student experiences and about the ways that you are working to support students and other students. Now, I might just sort of add before we sort of start with this that some students do join the Open University because they don't want to talk to other students, and I don't want to sort of make the assumption that it's always a good thing to do, but some students can find it incredibly rewarding, and we found out today how, you know, some of the field trips that students do can be amazing chances to meet other students, but equally, you know, using a remote experiment from the privacy of your own home is more to other students. So Kath, what are you studying at the moment and what's been your most enjoyable STEM experience?
Well, at the moment I'm studying TM111, which is the introductory computing module, and I've just finished doing M347 mathematical statistics. I'm one of those students who, I'm a perpetual student really. I've studied in 5 out of the 6 STEM schools and I've even ventured outside STEM, I have to confess. But my top favourite, it really has to be chemistry. I absolutely love chemistry. It's probably the main thing that made me start at the OU because I almost wished I'd done chemistry originally. And within the modules, you've got you've got really fantastic supportive staff, you've got fascinating material, and you've got the opportunity to actually get in a lab sometimes. They do have these wonderful remote experiments you've seen, but they've got actual lab schools going on campus as well, so that's really something not to be missed. And I have, just to support my chemistry nerd credentials, I have a lovely knitted molecule here. It's an amino acid, if anyone wants to know.
Did you knit that?
I did. And I can even give people the pattern if they want. I might design it myself.
And are these covalent bonds or ionic bonds?
They're covalent bonds. It's an organic molecule and they're covalently bonded.
An organic molecule, fine.
Yeah.
Just needed to check. Thank you. Claire, what are you studying?
I'm studying BSc Open, but I'm going towards the astronomy and physics pathway.
Brilliant. We've had a lot of students today who've been very interested in astronomy in particular. What is most exciting for you as a student?
I think it's just finding out what's out there.
Literally.
Yeah, well, yeah, because there's still a lot we don't understand about the universe, and, you know, we're still learning as we go along. That's the way science is.
So it feels very innovative and like there's more to discover, more to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Colin, what are you studying?
Well, I've just finished M140 Introducing Statistics and T192 Engineering. So I'm just about to start my level 2 modules this coming October. So yeah, that's exciting.
Excellent. Good. So lots to look forward to. Now, you're all involved with the Students' Association, the Open University Students' Association, and people can find that. We'll put a link to that in the chat. What do the Students' Association do?
Ooh, well, that's a big one, isn't it? We can do that jointly. I think we can say there are probably 3 main strands. So we've got things about developing community, and that can be things from our online get-togethers. I mean, there's a regular meet-up every month or so, I think, isn't it? I think you go to them, don't you, Colin?
Yes.
That's right. There are lots of student-based Facebook groups. We've got student forums. There are meetups. If you have a look on our website, and the link will be in there, then you can see a place to go to actual physical meetups. And about 10 days ago, we had our conference that happens every 2 years, where we bring hundreds of students here to campus. We've also got lots of student societies, and I'll have a chance to talk about that later, I hope.
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant.
No, you will. The other thing that you're all involved with is representing other students on various governance committees and various structures within the university, which is incredibly important because, in particular for a distance learning provider where there aren't many students that you can bump into on a corridor, hearing the student voice is very, very important to both make changes and reflect the learning experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, I sit on one of the boards of studies for engineering and innovation. I've been doing that for nearly a year now, and it's great to be on those committees and make sure that the student voice is heard at that level.
So what happens there then in these boards of studies meetings, and why do you benefit from doing that?
Well, I benefit because I'm the kind of person I like to see how all the cogs fit together. And so at that governance level, that's right at the core of the subjects and how they're developed and how modules are created and amended and everything else like that. So it's great to have that real insight and also be providing that student representation at that level.
And has that changed then what you know about being a student? Because very often it's easy to say, well, I'd like this, I'd like that, and then when you go to these meetings you see maybe some of the complexities that are surrounding some of those choices and decisions.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and to have that insight and knowledge how things work. I think it's good as well because I can then feed it back on social media groups and things like that to other students who might be asking questions, and to have that bit more of an understanding.
Yeah,
I think is very valuable.
And this whole issue then of representing a student population who are remote, who are virtual. Kath, you're always on Facebook asking people, asking people questions about various things. And I wonder how you represent the student voice and how you sort of get a sense check, really, of how people are feeling. Because obviously you've got this whole sampling issue of people only going to tell you who reply, etc. So you're limited to some extent. You can't say, oh, everyone feels really down, because you don't know. How are you, being able to represent the student voice effectively?
Well, I mean, obviously, as you say, we do have a sampling issue. There are students out there who never talk to us. They're not on social media or anything like that. However, all we can do is do what we can. And also, we have a whole network of people. For example, we have our learning experience representatives, and their role is to be basically our eyes and ears on the ground and come back and tell us, well, people are having this particular issue with this particular module. I mean, I think the key thing with us as well is that we work as a team, that we've got people in our Central Executive Committee, such as myself and Claire, people in the Disabled Students Group like Colin, people in Plexus, the LGBT plus group, and so on, and all these informal networks. So I think keeping our ears open and trying to be as approachable as possible. And yes, that is my excuse for always being on Facebook, because it isn't just about what I ask people, but about the things that people contact me about and message me about. And I know I personally always try to get in quite a lot of the level 1 groups so I can find out what I'm hearing from new students coming in, because obviously they may have different concerns to those of us who've been around for a while.
And are things changing? You know, society, we've spoken about how there's so many aspects of society that are changing, as well as things like ageing populations and various sort of things going on. But also student populations are again changing, and as the curriculum is massively expanding, and also we're sort of aligning ourselves more with new technologies. We've seen some of the lab experiences and things. So there are all these things that are changing. How are students changing with that?
Well, I think one thing we're all seeing is that they're younger, aren't we? You'll notice that one, that they're younger. I think we're having more students who are wanting to try and finish their studies within 3 years, study effectively full time. And although it's not a way I personally ever feel comfortable thinking about education, there are quite a lot of consciousness of what I might call value for money coming out there as well. So I think that's one of the things that can present quite a challenge for the OU, is being aware of what student expectations are and how to meet them realistically.
Yeah, no, the issues in funding have shifted, I guess, demands and what people are expecting out of things. How is it sort of with students meeting other students? You mentioned the conference and you've mentioned some of the meetups and things. How do students then support other students and connect if they want to?
Well, I think in terms of supporting, and we have some formal mechanisms for supporting, don't we? For example, we've got the relaunched peer support service will be starting in the autumn. So that's a kind of anonymised service where nobody needs to know, so to speak, who you are when you're getting support. The support, you won't even know who the supporter is as an individual, but it's a way to reach out to somebody and get help for the duration of your module if you're needing it. We're affiliated to Nightline as well, so if you're needing to phone up in a crisis, that's a good place to go specifically for students, run by students. We've got our internal things such as the Disabled Students Group that Colin can obviously talk a lot about. We've got Plexus, the LGBT plus group, and we've got a lot of those informal networks. And I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of the support I've got is from people I know informally. You don't necessarily go through the formal structures.
Yeah. I mean, the Disabled Students Group, I mean, our motto is students supporting students, and that's very important to us, and we have a very active social media presence, and we'll try to direct as many students as we can towards getting the support that is available to them. A lot of students don't know what that support is, and so it's just about signposting and I say students supporting students.
Just being there for people sometimes,
absolutely.
isn't it? Just knowing there's someone else out there who's also cursing this particular TMA and thinking, oh, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. We've got some questions on the hot desk, so I'd like to just take a quick trip over there and see if we can answer any of them. Scott and Heather, how are things?
Hello, very good, thank you. We've got a nice question here. Jeanette has asked about if you're thinking of taking a study break, can you stay in touch with the groups, etc.? You know, obviously you make bonds with the students.
Of course.
Yes,
100%,
absolutely.
yes. I mean, I had effectively had a study break for a couple of years because of personal circumstances, and I don't think most people ever realised I was away.
Because you don't want to start again, do you? And
No, exactly.
No.
But yes, I mean, it's not about some sort of rigid ruling about whether you're a student or not in that sense. If you're in a group, you're in a group, keep going with us.
Yeah.
You know, I think OU in a real sense is for life.
Excellent.
How would you get someone to get involved for the first time? If we've got new students, how would you promote getting involved in the groups? What kind of drew you to do it?
Personally, what drew me was involvement in societies. That I started the OU's Chemistry Society, and I wanted to promote it further. That's what personally drew me. What about you two?
Well, for me, I just wanted to connect. I knew that there was going to be something out there, so I just went looking. I just went looking on social media, type in OU into the search bar, and you're going to find things, and you just find things which are appropriate to what you're studying or your personal circumstances, and yeah, just get involved and say hello.
Curiosity as well, I think.
Yes,
I know when I started, I remember going onto the forums because I almost clicked on Student Home and I thought, oh, what's that then? Oh, that's interesting. People having a discussion there.
Yeah.
What about you,
Well,
Claire?
mine was kind of a random event, really. I got a letter from the Students' Association asking if I wanted to attend conference. I thought, OK, I'll send it back. Probably won't hear nothing from them, but lo and behold, I did. Got talking to current or CC members at the time. Nick Morris, it's your fault. And yeah, I've kind of been involved ever since.
now, Sarah says she can only picture you, Kath, dressed up as a yellow duck. Why is that?
At our conference about 10 days ago, I decided to raise some money for USET. Now that is the OU Students Educational Trust, which raises money, which helps out students who have fallen into financial hardship while studying. And what happened is, during a period of procrastination when revising for my exam, I went onto Facebook and I said, would people sponsor me to dress up as a duck at conference? My Facebook icon is a duck, by the way, that's why the ducks. And a lot of people said yes, and I was kind of committed to it then. But I'm really happy as we've raised £1,020 from doing that. So spending 5 hours as a duck in the boiling heat was worthwhile.
Megan says you were absolutely quacking. I'm sure you've heard that a lot, Kath. And it's a good joke, Megan, so thank you. But this issue, I guess, of, like, it's easy to join a Facebook group because you can just click on a following button. But getting involved, Colin, I wonder if you can sort of tell us about that, because that must feel like quite a step, sort of going to a Board of Studies meeting. And I don't know whether you did or not, but, you know, did you ever have any sort of questions about how that might be and you know, whether you'd be able to give everyone what they wanted and also benefit yourself, you know, because it's quite a commitment also.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the first time I went to my first Board of Studies meeting, I was outside the room doubting whether to actually go in or not.
Yeah.
Because I thought, you know, it's out of my depth, it's out of my comfort zone. But then that curiosity to see how things work and this sort of thing sort of drove me on and spurred me on to go through that door and take part and realise that they're just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, they were very welcoming and engaged me right from getting through the door, explained what things were, explained words that were unfamiliar to me that were unique, you know, just used in that setting. And yeah, it's very rewarding.
And were you welcomed?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, very much so.
It's one of those things, I think, as we work in, I mean, the OU is just such an incredible place because people have such diverse ranges of experience. And often if you're teaching something, someone will know a lot more about a certain something than you might know. And often, I bet you in those meetings, everyone thinks, oh, they seem to know a lot about that. But combined, and this is what makes it so brilliant, is that everyone has different angles of knowledge. And so by being able to look at all of those different perspectives, we can join up some of those dots. So it's less about them and us as students. It's more about all contributing to something really meaningful and value. Because Central Committee is something you're involved with, isn't it, Claire?
Yeah, I've been a CCR on and off.
What's a CCR?
It's a Central Committee representative.
Okay. On and off. And how's that been for you?
It's interesting. I've learned a lot of stuff that I wouldn't otherwise have known if I hadn't been involved with that sort of thing. So I always like to kind of learn about what's going on, and I'm a bit nosy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, Kath, you did say, and I will hold you to that, otherwise I don't know what will happen, you must let me talk about the society. So I'm going to let you talk about the societies, and you mentioned that it was the key thing that drove you on.
It was, absolutely. A lot of people aren't aware that the OU has student societies just like any other university, but we've got a whole lot of them in STEM. We've got M500 for maths. They run a revision weekend, they run a winter puzzle weekend, they have a newsletter, they're looking at arranging visits. We have Alchemy, the Chemistry Society, which is the one I founded. I'm notorious for pushing all the time, hence the molecules again, guys. And we do things like, we do meetups, we have a newsletter, we do study support resources such as unofficial exam solutions. We have Fusion, the Physics Society, have an annual Fusion weekend, again, newsletters and visits. We've got some incoming ones, for example, Dr. Turing's Society and for computing. They really want some more help, so if we've got computing students out there, guys, please go for it.
Now, you mentioned these societies because they're things, obviously, that are run by students as volunteer organisations with constitutions, etc. But they're also for students. So you're talking about sort of two opportunities here. One is just to get involved and come along to the various things that are run. And the other, like you say, is you're looking for certain volunteers to do things. What might those activities be?
Well, to a large extent, societies tend to be quite flexible. I mean, there are obviously designated committee roles. So, for example, any affiliated society will have a chair, a treasurer and so on. Most of them will have a webmaster. But a lot of them, and I would certainly include any of the ones I've been involved in, really appreciate any offers of help. So even if you want to write us a paragraph for the newsletter, if you want to help us admin a group, if you want to help us on the Twitter account, if some people have really enjoyed writing an article and had a real buzz about getting that into print, if there's a nice place to visit near you relevant to the society, tell us about it. Maybe you could be a link person to organise it. So there's a kind of a, it's not I'm just coming along as a person or I'm really, really involved. There's a kind of a nice slope, lots of informal ways to get involved.
And Davin's just put a link to all of the societies in the web chat, so do take a look and see if there's one that interests you. And what sort of events are run by these various societies, Kath? What would be the most exciting thing students might look forward to?
Well, I guess it depends what excites you, but some of the nice ones we've enjoyed, we arranged a trip to a brewery. Now, I'm not saying it's exciting.
We're only into gin and tonic here, sorry.
No, this was beer this time, but yes. No, distillery will be the next time. Yeah. We have, as I said, face-to-face revision events, that sort of thing. They get run. Now, that might not sound exciting, but they're actually a great social experience, aren't they? I mean, you've been on that sort of thing, and they're great fun. Some of the societies run really exotic trips. I mean, we've had people going over to CERN and that sort of thing. We had a nice one going to Diamond, National Synchrotron Facility. There's more, basically, if you think there's something interesting out there, then there is a chance to arrange a visit to it. Most of the societies are really, really open to ideas.
Brilliant, excellent. So people can get involved and find out more. And as you say, they've all got webmasters, so they must have websites and lists of things that are running.
It's all on the main societies page there, yes. And most of them I really, really love to hear from people who would like to get even the titchiest little bit involved.
Brilliant. Now, I'd just like to end by asking, you mentioned some of the things that students might find difficult with, and you've touched on the peer support, and you've also mentioned Nightline. But you also said, Kath, that you've noticed a lot of students are younger, and a lot of students are studying, I guess, at what we would call a higher intensity, so maybe trying to do a degree full-time, often perhaps with a job or caring responsibilities or other things going on as well. So what sorts of things would you encourage students to reach out to either the peer services or to Nightline or the student support team or to USA more generally, or to get involved with a society? What things might be specific to STEM students?
I think, I mean, in terms of specific issues faced by STEM students, I think sometimes confidence can be one, because sometimes STEM subjects have this reputation for being hard, don't they? You come across that reputation from people?
Yes, yeah.
And I think actually the feeling of, yes, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't need to be afraid, and don't feel worried about reaching out and asking for help. I mean, look at some of the groups we've got. For example, we have a big group that's called the Maths Support Group on Facebook, and that's open to, it's not just people studying maths, it's anyone who has some mathematical content in their module. And because the people are so time poor, that's something that being able to access that help quite quickly through informal as well as the very good formal routes, such as their tutor, it can be quite helpful to them.
Colin, what advice might you give to students?
I think it's quite a standard one really, is talk to your tutor. You know, if you're struggling, if you're finding it difficult, first port of call is talk to your tutor. They might have an easy solution, they might be able to guide you past a certain sticking point, or put you in touch with somebody more relevant to whatever it is you're going through.
One of the things tutors always say, don't they, is people always worry about worrying their tutor and bothering them, don't they? But what most tutors say if you talk to them is they wish people would get in touch more. And as I'm a teacher in my day job, and I absolutely hate this idea of people sitting there and stuck, and they could reach out and they could be helped. And the idea of them not being able to get the help because they're not reaching out, that is so sad.
But sometimes it is confidence. Sometimes you think, actually, I'm sure everyone else knows this and everyone's struggling as well. Claire, could we end with you? What advice would you give to students at home?
I'd say it's like it can get difficult at times when you've got other stuff going on, whether it's a job or like you've got kids, but like just keep plugging on really.
Yeah, absolutely. One foot in front of the other, and then all of a sudden you'll be there at the end, isn't it?
Step by step, isn't it? That's it. Don't try and like eating the elephant.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Colin and Claire and Kath, thank you so much for a very interesting session. That's been really, really useful, and you've given us some great tips and ideas. And thank you, Davin, for that whole list of societies. You can check that out. You can also check out the Open University Students Association website on Facebook to find out all about those exciting opportunities to get involved. That's USA. If you just Google that, you should get to the right place. And I'm sure Scott and Heather can put a link to that in the chat for you as well. Scott and Heather, any final thoughts?
It's just a good receipt from the students involved at the moment, just thanking everyone for coming in today as well and putting across something that is quite brave to talk about, because a lot of students don't get involved, so it's really promoted that to a lot of people. And if you do join the chat at the moment, you'll see a lot of the links that other people have put on of their experiences as well.
Yes. And can we do this again?
Yes, we can. Lots and lots. So if you have enjoyed the Student Hub Live session, do check out the Student Hub Live website. We've got other events on, including a writing retreat, which is on every Wednesday evening at the moment, and there'll be plenty to get you up and ready for your September start studies in September and October time. So do make a list, make a note to check out the website, and also you can look at the Student Hub Live YouTube channel, and then if you subscribe to that, you'll get the trailers, which will tell you when we've got new events coming out in future. Right, well, you've mentioned here that tutor support is really vital, so we're going to show you a video about OU STEM tutor support, and then we're going to be having the second to last of our sessions, which is on computing and communications, and we're going to take a sneak preview in the next session at people setting up for one of the lab casts which is going on this evening. So join me after this video break for that session.